In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 different ways to actually get ownership in the business without necessarily having to come up with the cash. And I think this is very important. So let me share a little bit more about what is it, right? Why is this important for you? What we're talking about is it's not always about buying a business complete or buying a business outright. Sometimes it's better to take a percentage of ownership in the business rather than buying the whole thing. The benefit of that and why it's important is it allows somebody else to run the business. Specifically, the owner can stay in the business, run the business for you, and you still get paid. You get all the benefit without doing any of the work. To me, that's a good deal. So let me share with you a story about Laura. And this is going to cover a couple different texts. I'm going to cover 3 different things in here as part of the story. And I want you to listen for the distinctions as I go through this. Now with Laura, what she did, now Laura, she lives in California, and she found a person that had 5 restaurants in Iowa. Okay, so they're not in the same state. And I always like that. That doesn't have to be in your backyard. So she found an individual had 5 restaurants in Iowa. Now he liked his restaurants, but he was overwhelmed. He was the smartest guy in the room, and everybody's like, yes, that's a great idea, great idea. But he was overwhelmed, didn't know how to run his business and take it really to the next level. But he had a great concept that was actually available, and I thought was a pretty good idea for franchising. So what we learned in talking with the seller and using the questions that we always have with sellers, we found out where his pain points were, that he wanted to stay in the business, he wanted to run the company, he wanted to be part of it, but he didn't want to run it forever. So he didn't really want to sell it right now. So this is really important when you're dealing with sellers that say, hey, I want a little bit more cash, or I want more cash later, but I don't want to quite sell right now. These strategies work really well. So what Laura was able to do is she's able to figure out, okay, well, what if we take his business, we take an ownership percentage in his business, we receive a management fee in return. So not only do we get equity, but we get a monthly fee out of it, which in this case is a fee off the top. Every dollar that comes in, a small percentage comes off the top, goes into Laura's back pocket, and the long-term goal for the exit is to do something we call this hybrid IPO strategy, where we're actually going to take that restaurant chain, we're going to take it public and franchise it out and make it go national and hopefully one day international. So if you think about it, we really combine 3 different things here. We got ownership equity in the business by helping it figure out what it needed to do to grow. We also received a management fee in return for doing it, because I don't like to work for free, pretty much like I'm sure you don't like to work for free either. So we're able to do both of those together. And in the long-term vision is to take the company public and franchise it, which means we get this big exit, this big payday down the road. So we get cash today, we get which is an override on the revenue that they generate. We also get the equity in the company. So when we take it public, we get that big payday, that equity kicker as we call it, when the company is sold or goes public. So that's a massive payday down the road. So what Laura figured out and what she learned from that whole process is that, gosh, I don't have to own the entire business, and no one says I have to work in the business. Why can't I let the owner work in business? Why can't I let the experts that know how to make a restaurant? Because Laura knows nothing about running restaurants. So why can't she let other people that she can bring in, essentially outsource that skill set to, let them run the business? And guess what? The owner of the business is profitable. The consultants are only in there part-time, right? They do the work and then they're out because we make the business more profitable. Then we take it public and everybody cashes out, everybody's happy. So imagine if that was you. Imagine if you were Laura doing that deal where you got equity, you got a management fee, and you got a big payday down the road by taking this company public, of which, by the way, you don't have to know how to do. Somebody else does that for you. This is the key of outsourcing, right? So we're looking at 3 things here. We're looking at, and these are the tips, right? When you look at a company, don't always look at how do I try to buy that entire company completely, because it's not necessarily about buying a company. What if you help them get to the level where they're at, because they may not be ready to sell right now. They want just a little bit of help taking it to the next level because they don't know how to up-level themselves. And it's not always about giving them money. It's about giving them the resources, or what we refer to as relational capital, help them take themselves from where they are, a good company, and making it great. That's the thing that we're trying to do. And you get paid for doing that. And by the way, you are not the one that's doing the work, because I don't expect you to have the right skill sets or the education or the background or previous experience. I've already done this. That's what we have, teams that can help you do this. So I really hope that you like this content. And by the way, if you need help on structuring any kind of a deal, on buying a business or structuring or figuring out how to do it, no money down, or even doing these hybrid IPOs, whatever it is, let us help you. And what I'd like to do is offer you the opportunity to sign up for a free first deal fast track session with my top strategist. Now, in this first deal fast track session, we will actually show you the